the first example I'm going to show you guys is, in many ways, the foundation of Western civilization, if we think about it. Cities only exist because there are people to live in them, and people only live in cities if they are in an area where they have lots of resources. And the main resource you need to have civilization is, any thoughts or guesses what we need to survive? Water and food. So we're going to do a food map. Well, more specifically, what kind of food? Grains, exactly. Corn, grains. All these resources that basically supply food for our livestock, supply the food for all of our stuff we buy at freaking Trader Joe's or whatever you go to shop for ingredients. So in the links folder, there is I believe it's this one right here, AG Census. So copy that guy, go into your website or your browser, and this is the United States Department of Agriculture. I have one of my best friends. She's currently at the University of Florida. She's studying agronomy, and she pointed me to this resource for agriculture data. And the thing I want you guys to focus on is this little item down here, which is the data sets that you can download from the census. So just click on the Excel thing there and download that guy. But this is actually super interesting. Like she told me about this, and I started exploring this this data set. And actually, what you get is actually a very, in my opinion, compelling map of where food comes from. Where certain industries exist. Like where's most of the pork in the United States produced? Where is most of the wheat in the United States produced? And actually, they are contained within very specific geographic regions. So this actually is a very interesting data set. And so I know who was it that was looking at sugar again? Yeah, so this will give you some information about sugar beets and sugar cane. But then also, I know, like for instance, the idea of the Mississippi River as a topic of, as well as Micah's. There is a very specific agriculture industry that actually is contained around the Mississippi River, and that was very interesting to me. And so I'll show you guys what that is. Anyway, I digress. Go to the just open that folder, or open that data set real quick. It's an Excel folder. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the enable editing thing here. Okay, so you're going to see, man, there's a lot of information, but what you want to focus on are these little tabs at the bottom, which give you information about specific things. So first off, it gives you county names. So the reason why, again, we use this is because the U.S. agricultural data set goes to the resolution of counties in terms of how fine the detail is. So this is the data we want to use. There's a variable lookup tab, and this gives you descriptions on what each of the categories mean. So this little line here where it says map ID, these actually key into this title here. So for instance, you can get acres of corn harvested. The year is a little bit outdated, but I guess it's what we have to work with. But corn, sorghum, wheat, cotton, soybeans. But this is just crops, but this also gives you not just crops, but fruits. So plums, grapefruits, lemons, oranges, almonds, hay, vegetables and melons, asparagus, broccoli, head cabbage. Oh, nice. But you see all the food here is in there. Actually, this is actually very cool, economics as well. So it gives you the value of each farm, how much income each farm is getting. So you actually can map the most profitable farms in the United States. And I'll show you one cool thing you can do with this information in a second. So economics as well, farm sizes, just general information about farms, and livestock. So cows, pigs, goats. What else? Oh, ewes, nice. Sheep and lamb. Anyway, all this information can be mapped. So this is just the key here, but in the next tab over, this is actually the data set. So what it's doing is it's mapping for each county. So this line here is the county. Basically the value of, I guess in this case, the acreage of some category here, and then range of classes and all this stuff. I'll explain more in a second, but basically everything related to crops and plants in one table, everything related to money in another table, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is good. This is all we need. We don't need to do anything to this except just close it and copy that Excel or that CSV file. And actually, it's a Excel file. This one right here. I'm just going to cut it and paste it into my. Actually, I already did it previously. I'll just delete this one I did previously and paste it in here. So I created a folder called agriculture. So go back to, after you do that, go back to ArcMap and then add that CSV file, or that rather, sorry, the Excel file. So agriculture. We'll double click on that and you see it gives you all the tabs in the table. So let's start with one. Let's start with crops and plants. So add that. Just give it a second to come in. There it is. I'm going to save this because I have a feeling ArcMap is going to crash on me several times today. I'm not sure why. Agriculture. So if you can open the data set here, you see you have everything from the table brought in here. So the county key here, and then everything related to the data here. And this is why we need to remember this code here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open the Excel file again. I think it'll ask me, yeah, it says read only. That's fine. We're just not going to edit it. I only want this to have this table open here so I can remember what actually each of these labels on the side actually mean. So now join this, back in ArcMap, join this data set to the county line data set. So right click, joins and relates, join. And this would be based off of, sorry, we gotta find out which one it's gonna join to. So I'm going to open this, is it GeoID? Let's see what this is. FIPS text. I believe this and FIPS text are the ones we need to join. Let's just test this out. I can't remember, but I think this is it. Join GeoID, yep, to FIPS text. And I'm going to keep all records for this case. And click OK. Okay, and then I'll go to the data set here, right click it, go to the properties tab and to symbology tab here, and we're going to visualize it in quantities, and let's pick an option here. Let's see, let's say we want corn, the first line here, Y12M161. So find that field, first line here, and this is going to be the acres of corn, according to this thing, acres of corn harvested for grain as a percent of harvested cropland acreage. So that's okay to me. Let me pick a cool color map, maybe like that. Apply, and click OK. And I don't know about you guys, but I think this is actually a very interesting map. This is where all the corn in the United States is produced, right here. And so, I don't know if you guys remember the movie Interstellar, but the only crop left in the world was corn in that plot movie. So wherever those guys were living, they were probably living in this region right here in terms of movie setting. Beans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another table. So click on the plus button here, and I'm going to add the economics table right there. Then I'm going to join that to this data set. So you can join a lot of data sets onto one map. So just click on join and relates, join. It's going to be based off the GeoID. It automatically selected economics and the FIPS text. Then click OK. And I'm going to, as it's joining, I'm going to look at my list of options here. I'm going to go to the economics. Let's see. let's find one that makes sense. So economics, this one, let's say this one, MO33, net cash farm income of operations. So just basically the net income. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this map by itself. I'm going to actually hide this on the side here. I'm going to page and print setup. I'll just set it as an Adobe PDF, and I'm going to select NCD, which is 34 by 22. Set it as landscape. Okay. Fill out the page in the window. Use the zoom option here to zoom into the United States. I'm going to actually do one thing. I'm going to double click on the visualization options here. And when you're creating this multivariate map, you actually want to limit the amount of classes that you are representing here. So right now I have 5 classes. But if you think about it, if I do 5 classes for this one and then 5 classes for the second one, you're gonna have a 5 by 5 grid, which is like 25 variables, which is like too confusing. Generally for multivariates, you always do 3 classes by 3 classes. So 3 times 3 is 9, which I think this one's doing, but I'm not sure. But anyway, all you do is just basically select 3 classes like that, just to simplify the story a little bit. And I'm going to go to the classify option here, and I'm going to set it to quantile just to make the distribution a little bit more even. But you don't have to do that. It's just a graphic choice. Click OK. So you see it's a nice clean map. Basically soybeans in here, less soybeans around, and then no soybeans in blue. So then now what we're going to do is I'm going to select create a bookmark so I remember this layout. Save it and export it. So file, export map. And I'm going to save it as an AI file. Whenever I save AI files, I try to increase the resolution to something really big like 900. As long as there's no raster images in the background and there's no transparency to the layer, this should be fine. I'll call this agriculture soybeans. Beans with a Z, because it's zombies. Save. Okay, it took about a minute to do, but it exported. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to export a second map visualizing the economics. So again, just to remind myself, it's Y12M033. So we're going to visualize that one. So find it on this list of, wow, all these variables here, but Y12M033. And choose a different color ramp. Let's choose the, and you'll try to make it as distinctly different from this one. So this is a blue, yellow, red one. Let's try to pick maybe this fire one here. Actually, it might be a little bit too different. Let me try. Yeah, purple. Let's try this one right here. Then go to Classify tab and set it to quantile, like that. Then click OK. Okay, so now what you see here is basically all the farms up here in this region up here, and just FYI, like this is corn, this is wheat, this also is cattle as well. This region up here. So this doesn't distinguish the actual type of agriculture. It just and it lumps all together the profitability of all these farms. So we're gonna export this one now. So export map. This might also take another minute, but it's okay. So we're gonna do agriculture, and we'll call this one net income. Save. Okay, so that finished exporting. Took about another minute to do. So now on the desktop where I save these files, I have this agriculture income and this agriculture soybeans. So I'm going to open them. So I'm going to open the soybeans layer. And these are just some Illustrator, from this point forward, Illustrator techniques. So you guys can have fun with this. So as I've described in the past, whenever you bring layers in from GIS, you always want to first select all the clipping masks. So go to Select, Object, Clipping Masks, and then hit the Delete keys to get rid of all that stuff. then ungroup everything. So select on the master layer, then hit Control-Shift-G several times just to ungroup everything. What I'll do is I'll rename this one soya beans with a Z, and then I'll just I'll bring this out. We don't need this master layer, so I'll just delete this master layer. Then I'm going to open the other one, so the net income. Do the exact same process. So select clipping masks, delete, select everything, Control-Shift-G, Control-Shift-G, Control-Shift-G. I'll rename this layer here. I'll bring it out of the master layer, delete the master layer, then call this one net income farm. Then what you do is you select that entire layer, Control-C, go back to this one here, make sure you have paste remembers layers checked off in the options here, and then just click on edit, paste in place, and that just pastes it directly on top of this map here. And then all you do is just select that one, and you go to the transparency tab and make it like, I don't know, 50% or something. You can adjust this number however you want. And the result is this really pretty looking map here. And what we want to do now is we want to create a key for this map. So what I'll do is I will first turn off the top layer. I'm going to, in the corner here, I'm just going to create a few, I'll create a new layer for the key. I'll create a few, stop laughing. Few squares like that, and I'll show you why I'm doing this in a second. I'm trying to make these squares as even as possible. And then I'm going to right click that, drag it down like that, drag it down like that. So now I'm going to have a nice 9x9 grid. I'm going to select this, I'm going to duplicate this layer like that. So this top one is going to be for the income one, and then the bottom one here is for this color ramp here. So we're going to first select this first row down here, hit I to get the eyedropper and get the blue one. Select the next row here, hit I and get the yellow. Select the top row, hit I to get the red. Then turn that off, then turn the next one on. Then this time instead of select the rows, select the columns. So we're going to go to this pink map. So click on this, hit I, hit the lightest pink, hit next one, hit the middle pink, and then this one, and get the dark pink. And if you remember, we set this one to 50% transparency, so also set this one to 50% as well. Oops, I made a mistake. There we go, 50%. And then if you turn on the key on the bottom, you see that you get the key that we want to use, and then you turn on everything else. Now it makes sense. And then just kind of label it. So let's just label this real quick and turn off everything again. So just real simply, low soil bean production. High soybean production. And then just copy that stuff down here. Maybe rotate it so that we can look at it or something. And then we just remember this we have here. So this is low, high. So I'll just say low net income, and this one is going to be large net income. Just generic terms, it's fine for this purpose. And there you go, that's it. And then you can make it as pretty as you want. I'm going to move this down a bit, like that. Then just save it. So hit save. I'll just save over, I'll just call it agriculture multivariate, because it's a multivariate map. This. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting the map I just created in Photoshop. So make sure you set the cropping to media box so that it remembers the extents of the art box. Click OK. And because it's a smart object, it means you can, if you edit the Illustrator file, it's going to automatically change the Photoshop file if you edit them. So you're basically linking the Illustrator file into Photoshop. But now all you do is you can just basically add some, hue saturation variables to make the color ramp something that you think looks better. Maybe this looks better, for instance. It's your choice. Or you can, for instance, add some color lookup tables here. So let's say you want to click on this abstract option here. You can do something like some of these fun options like this one. This looks pretty cool. Cobalt carmine, gold blue, gold crimson, green red, sienna blue. Actually, I like this one quite a bit because it kind of makes sense, because like brown soybean, not brown, bluish. Maybe add some curves just to, that's exposure, sorry. Add some curves to increase the contrast a bit. Whatever. And then maybe add a drop shadow on the background of this. And because it's an Illustrator file, it remembers the transparency. So you can add drop shadows and it looks cool. So drop shadow, that looks pretty cool. Maybe decrease transparency a bit, increase distance a bit or something, I don't know. And then you can do is you can add a background. So I'll delete the background. Soybeans, images, beans. Maybe, ooh, look at that. This nice picture of these fields. Let's do this. This one's kind of cool. Let's do that one. Copy, paste, scale it so it fits the page. Something like that. Throw in the background. Maybe, okay, so the color ramps are affecting everything, so use your, I forgot what they're called, the, I think it's like you hold control, no. Alt. There we go, Alt. And that only affects the, what's that called again? It's called the clipping mask, yeah. If you hold Alt, you can just, it only affects the object that's the arrow's pointing to. So that's pretty cool. Maybe let's take this and just decrease the saturation a bit so it's not as pronounced or whatever. Maybe lighten it up a bit or something. You don't want too many colors. I'm making a lot of graphic bad judgment calls here, but. And then, as I've done in the past, I add a mask or something on this, and actually I delete the mask. Just make some kind of margin, because margins look nice. And I'm gonna hold Alt and hit the mask button. Sorry, just hit the mask button, and that adds the background. And maybe add a solid white color, whatever. Oops. There we go. And there you go. There's your map, basically. Okay, I've spoken long enough, so.